Okay, let's try again. Gav,
How you doing?
good to have you here, man. Maybe let's just get started. If you can introduce yourself,
Sure.
who you are, what you do.
Cool. My name's Gavin. I do my best, but at the moment I'm co-founder of Creative Cubes, co-working space, and we're lucky enough to have yourself as a member.
Yeah.
So we've got a site in Hawthorn and Richmond, building a site in South Melbourne and Carlton currently, and having fun along the way.
Yeah, I bet. How'd you end up in co-working? Like, it wasn't really a thing that long ago, so I can't imagine when you were a kid, you're like, I want to be in co-working.
Yeah,
How'd
absolutely.
you get
Well, if you asked me the day before I was part of the team, I'd probably say, what is co-working?
Yeah.
So it just happened through I guess, knowing people. I mean, I used to work at a logistics firm called ProKinetics, and Andy, who's now my business partner, was actually my boss back there, director of the business, and he still is. And he was forming this great idea with Toby, who's our CEO, and said, hey, we're building this team, and I think you'd add a bit of value to it, and would you like to join? Just a little bit, just a touch.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of the team were born, and then George, who also used to work at ProKinetics, and was invited over as well, and we sort of started on this journey about 4 years ago now, and opened up 2 years ago, and I'm still educating myself on exactly what co-working is, only because it's a new industry, and every single day it's iterating for the better, because the members and the public are sort of dictating exactly what they want, and that's why it's a really exciting journey, because it's not an industry that's 50 years old and you're sort of told what to do, and you're just going to be like that for the next 10 years. Every single day is different, and it's really vibrant, and that comes through with the people that are actually here as well.
Yeah. So 4 years into the business journey, 2 years of operations, about to open another site.
Yep.
It's an industry where you've got some, if I'm not mistaken, I think Melbourne has got one of the highest co-working populations in the world. Like,
yeah, per capita, I believe it's like the highest density.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and that could just be because of maybe how we're set up logistically as a city.
Yeah.
It could be that Melburnians are just more on the trends, because we're seeing a shift from people having to commute into the city or a central hub to do work. Instead, they want to be closer to home, sort of like that quality of life and that balance, closer to schools, closer to home, closer to maybe a second job even for some cases. So, and that's why it's sort of probably picking up, and we've got a great support system. In terms of, I mean, we've got good public transport, a good train system, good train network, and we've got some great suburbs with great like Cosmo feels. So people want to be sort of around that rather than having to commute into the city. So if you provide the amenities and you sort of locate your co-working space as close to the amenities as possible and close to public transport, then why not?
Yeah. And so is that why Cubes has been able to be successful when you've already got your WeWorks here, you've already got a bunch of other ones here? Why is it that Cubes has been able to be so successful?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because there's a lot of operators and they all do a great job at doing their own thing. I feel our success is more based on being hyper focused on the member and the community. We understand the competitive environment, that's us being responsible as owners and operators, but we literally form our product based on exactly what our members want. It first started on what we felt. So backstory is Toby used to work in a co-working space as a consumer for 7 years. So he was very close to the product and exactly what he wanted as a consumer of co-working. So that was our first building in Richmond, which is an excellent building. And then from there, we're able to listen to exactly what our customers, our Creative Cubes customers and potential customers would like to see in our space. So then we just kept iterating our product. For now, so I mean, we started with co-working and events, Creative Cubes and Mic Drop. And now we've got a food and beverage business called Timber and Greens, which also provides catering into our meeting rooms and event spaces, and a wellness arm called Rebel Monk, which is our yoga studio, and soon to be a few other facets of wellness. So remaining focused and sort of remaining really grounded, having absolutely no ego, and just understanding exactly and listening to what our customer wants is, I'd say, attributed to our success, because we're fast moving as well, and we iterate and we keep iterating until we sort of tick the box in one area, but we know there's about 100 other areas that we can focus on.
Great. So one of the pillars that we talk about within the self-leadership model, which the charity sort of works around, is the professional one. And we talk about how important it is to find meaning and fulfillment in the work that you do. I'm sure there are a lot of overlaps between logistics and co-working, but I'm also sure there are a lot of things which are very, very different.
Yep.
So what is the approach, or what are the things that you've noticed or have had to pay attention to when it comes to transferring industries and being able to be so passionate and engaged and keen about something that you didn't really know a lot about?
Sure. And it definitely all comes back down to purpose.
Yeah.
So my role in the logistics business, which I love for any prokinetics lovers out there, was business development, right? So I was obviously speaking to customers locally for their international business, and also my responsibility was to grow relationships with international agents, which meant that I had to go to a number of conferences during the year and socialise essentially from dawn till dusk, having meetings, and then from dusk till dawn doing the reverse. Yeah. So it's, and you sort of like you sort of understand exactly how people operate, and then what you like out of that particular position. So understanding exactly the people that you're working with, understanding what they want, and understanding what value you can provide back.
Yeah.
Right. So me being a traditional sort of, I love speaking to people. I love sort of selling, I guess. That's my primary responsibility in nearly every single role I've had. And that really drove purpose back to me, because I felt like I was actually completing something, in the sense that I was able to back solve a problem that somebody had, whether it be in logistics, and now that's transferred into co-working, because co-working, we're essentially a house for your business, right? So if you can't open the doors to your house, then how are you supposed to operate your business?
Yeah.
And I take that to heart,
Yeah.
you know, because that's incredibly important to me and to everyone in our business, because we have to make sure that we have a viable business that we can scale responsibly, and then being able to again drive that value back to our members is incredibly important. So that's why I love coming to work every day, and that's why I used to love coming to work every day in the logistics business.
I think it's such a great lesson. You know, I get the chance to speak with quite a lot of people, and this question around purpose, and you know, how can you let purpose and passion follow you into different industries? And I think that's a really good example of it, right? It's all about finding connections with people, helping them solve their problems, and you can do that all sorts of industries if that's
exactly
what matters. Yeah.
And I mean, the primary thing is doing something that you love. A lot of people lose sight of that. A lot of people sort of get comfortable and then think about, how do I be responsible for my family and my home and everything in between? How do I pay the bills?
Yeah.
And that's obviously definitely that's more than not the right thing to do,
Sure.
you know. But when it comes to your own self-fulfillment and your own happiness, for me personally, you sort of go on this journey from a teenager to a young 22-year-old, and now I'm a young 32-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And so sort of understanding exactly how you sort of achieve that, like, self-validity.
Yeah.
And then sort of remaining hyper-focused on understanding that as you mature as well, because that definitely changes. I don't have kids personally, but I'm sure that when I do, exactly. That shift will focus as well.
Yeah. A lot of people will think or will want to know how they can put themselves in a position where one of their colleagues, their boss, their peers, whatever, when they go off to start a business, they can say, hey, I think you're going to add value to this new business. Do you want to come with me? What did you do to put yourself in the position where, when there was an opportunity, you could take advantage of it? What were what are the really practical things that people can take away and focus on tomorrow?
Sure. Well, firstly, I was in a job that I was really happy with, and I loved coming to work every day. And then that translates into how you interact with other people and how you interact with your peers. So if you are able to do a good job in a position, you're able to, and those skills are translatable to other industries, then automatically you yourself, you're sort of highlighting exactly the type of value you can provide. So in Andy's case, I remember walking into my interview, and I said, well, I can sell a tissue, right? And he still makes fun of me for that particular statement.
This is when you were interviewing for the
Prokinetics role.
right?
Yeah, correct. So I was sitting in a boardroom with a few people in front of me, and we're just talking about my sales skills and my experience in selling. And I go, guys, I can sell a tissue. Just what do you want from me? You know. And that's he says, well, that's sort of the closer.
Yeah.
And then I haven't looked back from there. You know, I've put every single bit of effort I can into being successful at that role, and just making sure that I'm motivated myself and doing things in my life to be motivated, so that I can turn up every single day and make sure that I'm executing at the highest possible level. And then and Andy sort of probably saw that my skills in selling are translatable to other industries, and hence gave me the call up. And hopefully he thinks I'm a good guy as well.
Well, the place is full, right? So it's okay.
It's a lot of fun.
So you talked about coming in and I forget the exact word you used, but basically being your best every day.
Mm-hmm.
You're a disciplined guy. I know that you've got a fasting routine. How have you gone about building this discipline within yourself, both personally and professionally?
That is a very complicated question.
Yeah.
It's probably going to take a few hours, but to tell you the truth, I haven't actually sat down because I know I am disciplined, and my friends and family tell me I'm disciplined, and even my partner, who I love very much, she said to me that if I say I'm going to do something, I always follow through. I'm a man of my word, and I learnt that at a very young age, and I think that was probably honed in by my parents. And so I mean, being a teenager, it's sort of like I want to drive the fastest car and I want to earn a lot of money, right? And then so then I was focused on finishing uni, getting through school, and then working really hard. So my first job was at Vodafone, and then sort of trying to sell as many connections as possible. And then so it started back then, because I was like, how do I sell mobile phones? So then I'm like, well, I need to learn how to sell first, right? So every single sales course, and Vodafone were great at this, in that they always offered skills training to staff. So every single sales course that came up, I always took to really hone in my skills. And then I was a chubby kid when I was younger, and then I was like, I need to lose a bit of weight. So and I'm like, how do I lose weight? And then I surrounded myself with people that knew a lot about health and fitness, and they're great mates as well. And they taught me a lot with, fasting, intermittent fasting, and now prolonged fasting, counting your macros. I used to count my macros for about 3 years to know exactly what's in my food, and I was able to lose a bunch of weight from that, and that takes a lot of dedication, measuring all your food. And then from there, it's sort of like, as I grew up, I sort of was honing in onto exactly what discipline was. Naturally, wasn't really concentrating on that. And then, it sort of comes to where I'm at now, which is, I fast, at least 40 hours every week, normally from Sunday to Tuesday. I'll do a 16-8 fast every other day. I go to the gym 4 times a week. I play basketball twice a week. And then, as much as I can, I try to meditate, or I try to sort of practice mindfulness just to as a self check-in. I love going to the movies by myself as well sometimes.
Love that so much. I haven't been able to do that since kids, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So you got a lot going on.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm telling you got a lot going on. What are the practical things that you can do to make sure that you can get in your gym sessions, get in your basketball games, have a relationship, be great at work? What are the practical things you do that allow you to achieve so much?
It's definitely intentional effort.
What does that mean?
I need to tell myself that I don't have to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym, right? And I don't have to sit down and listen to my partner. I need to. And it's sort of like, and I don't have to come to work every day. I need to come to work, because I know for myself that that's what's going to make me happy. I know that from a gym point of view, I know that if I go to the gym, I feel focused during my day, and it's not just, obviously I'm trying to look good for myself and probably for everyone else around, if you sort of really dive really deep into it. But it's also, it helps me concentrate during the day. And I love playing basketball. I mean, I've got some great teammates that I play basketball with. And actually, Josh, if you're listening, he invited me. He's actually a member in Richmond, and he invited me to a team on Mondays, and I love playing every single week with them. And Tuesday, I filled in a game, and they asked me to stay because they needed more players, and I'm like, yep. So, yeah, it's just sort of having that thing at the back of your mind going, if I don't do this, what is the recourse to my overall happiness?
Right.
Because if I miss a gym session, it doesn't get me to my heart, but it's sort of like I feel like I haven't gone to the gym. So I'm like, I need to be better than that. And then sort of having that discipline in the gym and then translates into your work and to your personal life, and everything's sort of interrelatable. And it even goes back to, I mean, I need to go and see my parents once a week, right? I don't have to, but again, I need to just because I love seeing them and I love seeing my sister and I love catching up with my friends and family. So actually having that intentional effort to put in that time. So it's important. So just being really conscious of what makes you happy and then making sure that you structure your week to solve that. That's important to me.
How do you go about structuring? Do you have like a routine? Do you have a process? Do you have a diary? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I sort of have like an internal diary. One of my good friends, he journals quite a lot, right? It's not a diary, but he sort of writes down exactly how he feels at any given point in time. Which is a great way to sort of translate your internal feelings and then being able to sort of dice it up and go, okay, this is important, this is important, this is important, and you translate that into a diary and be like, I need to do this, this, and this.
Right.
But I don't do that, and I wish I had sort of the discipline to do journaling, but I just can't sit there and write for hours on end. So I just know that, I mean, I know what so I sort of, again, I come to work, you know, and I play basketball Mondays and Tuesdays, so I know that I've got a few other days in the week where I can sort of fit in gym, right? And then I also definitely make sure I have a rest day where I can do whatever I want, whatever I feel like doing. And so that's sort of, so for me, I'm like, I need to go to the gym 4 times a week. I don't care what days I do it. And then I play basketball twice a week because I'm committed to a team. So I make sure I come to that every single week. And then obviously work, you know, work's work. So you have to, you come into work at least 5 days a week.
At least.
And and then and then you have that structured time already. You know, it's already there for you. The gym and I guess basketball to a certain degree, and then spending time with your friends and family. That's the only variables. And that's where it's up to you to actually be really focused on achieving those goals, because they are goals. Because if you have the decision to do it or not do it, then you need to be disciplined to make sure I'm going to do this because again, it adds this value to my life, right? And then that's translate to how you deal with people and how you how you interact with people, right? If you're good on this end, that means that's going to sort of translate across to everyone else that you're around.
So I think it's a really interesting lesson in that a lot of people equate discipline with structure and process all the time, and it sounds like you've got a structure which you know isn't going to change. That's your work and your basketball, but then you've got flexibility around that to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got no structure,
right?
In the sense that in the daytime, I've got a calendar that sort of runs my day. But sort of after the fact, I do what I feel I want to do.
Yeah.
If I really, really don't want to go to the gym, I don't go to the gym, right? Because maybe I'm just not feeling it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But then at the back of my mind, I know I didn't go to the gym, so then I'm like, I need to make up for that.
Sure.
So how do I make up for that? I make sure I go the next day, right? And you just pick it up from there. And it's okay to have those types of days. And it goes the same, like sometimes I don't go to the gym because one of my mates wants to catch up for a drink or for some food, you know, and I value their time. So I'm definitely going to say no to the gym and say yes to that because that's at that time, that's more important to me.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about fasting. You know, for people that might see this and have heard about it and be interested in it, what do the fasting pitch?
Yeah, it's there's quite a few memes out there for people who just talk on and on about fasting and intermittent fasting and all that sort of stuff. So I'll try not to be one of them. The first thing about fasting is you can't see the results.
Right.
I mean, you may look like more slim in the mirror just because you haven't eaten for a long period of time. But there's now scientific evidence coming out. I mean, there's always been evidence of the benefits of fasting. And, you know, I think if you sort of go to the doctor and you're experiencing a couple of health issues, the first thing they do is, you know, cut down your diet. or change your diet. And now, like, science is more focused on how can your gut biome really, how does that affect your overall well-being and health? And there's a lot of unanswered questions, but there's a lot of hypothesis that there's so much that we don't understand about the gut. But there's now sort of research that's already been published about indicators of well-being when you fast. So autophagy, which is like cell repair, decreased inflammation indicators when you fast. Obviously, you're in sort of like a fat-burning state of ketosis. And you're sort of giving your body a full break. So when I fast, so this is probably not the right thing to do, but I play basketball when I fast, right? Because I'm exuding a lot of energy, so that gives me ability to burn a lot of fat. I don't do weights when I fast because that's breaking down the muscle, and then you're not replenishing that with food, so I stay away from that. But I play basketball because it's a cardiovascular sort of, obviously a cardiovascular game. So it sort of gives your body, it gives your whole digestive system a break. And when you break your fast, you have to be really, really slow about getting back into food. Otherwise, you'll literally self-combust.
Right.
So yeah, and there's just so many benefits, and like I can go through them all. But if anyone wants to sort of overnight really increase their well-being and then bring some structure as well into maybe a very cluttered week, if you start religiously, start fasting, it automatically brings that that structure back.
Yeah.
You don't really have to do anything else. You just start with that and just tell yourself, I'm not going to eat.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I don't eat and I'm fasting for 40 hours, I have Celtic sea salt and sort of like electrolytes, natural electrolytes, potassium powder and some salt essentially, just to keep myself hydrated. But yeah, if you tell yourself you're going to do that, and that's a very hard thing to do, and you don't start at sort of 40 or 50 hours, you start at sort of maybe 24 hours, and then you build it up from there, then automatically you're sort of ticking a massive goal.
Yeah.
And I tell you all the time, I look forward to my fast. Because, I have a drink on the weekends, and I have a couple of steaks during the week, and I have a burger here and there, but then I know that I can reset myself and come back to it and then get some discipline back by fasting every single week.
Great. Cool. I might have to put some text down below, seek medical advice before we do any of this.
Absolutely.
We'll look at that in post-production.
Yeah.
Cool. So one more area I want to just touch on. You work a lot, you do a lot. You want some water? You're good. You work a lot, you do a lot. You're a inherently, naturally social guy that values relationships. As you've got into this world of being in business as a co-founder in a startup, have you found any pressures on certain friendships, and maybe just even through what I'm trying to get at is a lot of the people that we speak with, as in part of the For Men community, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, and your relationships start to change, right, for a whole bunch of different reasons. So I suppose, can you just reflect a little bit on how relationships have or haven't changed for you over the last 5-7 years, and how you've dealt with that, and what have the challenges been?
Yeah, I actually think about this often. I love being around people. I love meeting people. Sometimes I love being by myself as well, but sort of when I'm around people in general, I love sort of asking them how they're doing, and hearing about their stories every single day. And that's been I've been like that since sort of uni. I was president of the Monash Sri Lankan Club, which sort of puts everything into perspective for all those out there.
Classic.
So yeah, and when I was in uni and school, I think it's probably the case with everyone. You have heaps of friends, not a lot of close friends, but just heaps of people that you sort of surround yourself with. And then as you get older, that list starts dwindling. It starts reducing, because then time becomes really, a lot more valuable. I think. I'm not saying that I don't like spending time with those people that I don't now keep in touch with. It's just more so being responsible about the time that you have during the day, because you never get that back.
Yeah.
You need to sort of now pick and choose, and you do that most of the time subconsciously. So I started, let's say, with 30 friends, and now I've got probably about 5 or 6 really close mates. And now being in the position I'm in, I am busy. I don't like saying that for some reason, but I am busy. But in saying that, I try to also make time for my friends, and I hang around people, and I'm mates with people that make me accountable for who I am, and also understand who I am, and always want the best out of me, even if that means giving me a hard truth. And now, as I got older, I understand that they're the types of people I need to be surrounded by, because they help me be a better version of myself. And that doesn't just go with my friends, that goes with my partner as well. She makes me accountable for who I am, and every day. And if I don't look good in something, or if I didn't speak in a manner that she thought is inconsistent with who I am, she lets me know straight away. And that's the same with my friends and even my family, right? So as I grow older, those are the sort of friendships that I really value, because they want the best out of me, and I want the best out of me, all right? And that's not only for myself, but also for them and for the people around me.
Amazing. So based on that reflection, what is the piece of advice through your own experience that you'd give somebody who's mid to late 20s wanting to take their life, I suppose, further? What's the advice that you'd sort of give around managing friendships?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's you need to, you first need to sort of analyze who are you friends with and why are you friends with them. If you're friends with someone for superficial reasons and only you as the individual can qualify what that is, are they really worth your time? And that's where you come back to putting a value to your time, which is really important. Not a monetary value, but more sort of an intrinsic feeling, and then being a little bit selfish about it and saying, what do I get from them, So if it's something that, say for example, I used to hang around people that I just love going out with, but I never caught up and had a conversation with. So it was great at a point in my life. I still love going out, don't get me wrong, but I value sort of having a conversation with somebody more. So it's just really analysing exactly who you're friends with and why you're friends with them is very important in my view. And then also being able to sort of recognise the friend that you can actually say the hard truth to, and they'll appreciate that from you, and then vice versa, you respect the hard truth from them, because especially in your 20s, you're growing rapidly, and what you do now will really shape the rest of your life. And it's a really pivotal time. And don't get me wrong, I'm 32 and I've got a lot more maturing and growing up to do. And also understanding that and being really open to what's coming on my future path. And also being really malleable, being able to sort of conform to exactly what the future holds. And that's relevant to exactly the friendship thing, because you need to surround yourself with people that are going to help you on that journey.
Yeah. Amazing. Gav, I genuinely love our chats out here.
I do as well.
So
yeah.
Thanks for giving us some of your time. We've covered a lot.
Pleasure.
We'll do it again.
Sounds great, man.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we're out. See you next time.